his career goals at the college that he was attending, and so he got to know a lot of the friends, and he just had to go through some grueling things. And when he told me about some of the things that he was going through, it made me, he said it in a proud sense. Well, I had to take licks for my brother. I had to, catch, ashes. I had to, people that smoked at certain locations, and so that they don't hit the floor. I had to carry certain bricks and things of that nature, so the things that he went through, I think to him, it made him very proud and really respecting the traditions and the history of a lot of those fraternities and Greeks that that go through a lot of those things. But I will say, Ed, that during that time, when you look at hazing as it has kind of grown to be or gotten to be at this point in time in our lives, he was in school back in the early 70s. So today, some of the things that a lot of those situations that revolve around hazing include are far more serious than back in that time frame.
What do you think his idea of this, where do you think this idea of being proud, of feeling like he accomplished something, where do you think this mindset or this mentality came from?
Well, I think that, we all know that there's nothing worth having that is easy, and so in other words, if you work hard at stuff, and I think, a lot of those traditions are set when people go through something that's very hard, and when they get through it, it's almost like basic training was for me when I was in the military. I went through that basic training, and even though it was tough and somebody was in my ear, and, I had to do a lot of things that really disciplined my mind and kind of programmed me in a sense. I think, a lot of those same situations that are involved in or revolve around fraternities and sororities and different groups that they don't want to make it easy. So somewhat they want to test your character, test your will to succeed. And when you go through it, you look back on it in retrospect and say, man, that's what that was all about. And I remember this in a way that I'm proud that I was able to achieve it to a degree, if you follow me.
Okay, well, I guess that bit I can understand. You're looking back in awe and saying, wow, all I've been through, everything, this has made me a better person. So that part I get. But I guess the reason why a part of me, on this show, I do my best to try to look at both sides of a situation, no matter how hard it may seem. Sometimes as a broadcaster and as a journalist, sometimes that's very hard. I'm trying to fight my personal opinions with my professionalism. I'm looking back on everything that's gone on in my life and what I've had to go through to make it here to this spot in my life, being a university talk show host. And I know I've had to go through some battles. I've had to go through some hard stuff, some really not so pleasant co-workers, people you work with, whatever the term is that you want to use. And I look back in that saying, I've been through a lot of stuff to get to where I am now, and I'm not even with my career. My life isn't over. But I didn't have to have anybody to do horrible, demeaning things to me.
Yeah.
In the sense to get to this place. I have not had to have anybody hit me or abuse me. At least not physically. I can't say that I haven't had a few people call me out my name with their mouths over the years. I've had to go through some really crazy bosses, but I guess those crazy bosses taught me how to work within the toughness of the media industry. So I get that, but why physically? I guess that is my question. That's my main concern that I'm trying to get across. Why physically hurt somebody? Why physically inflict pain?
That's Ed, I really can't honestly answer that question, but I can tell you that, it's certain people in every group, and that really may not like a certain person, may want to do something in spite. I'm sitting here, and as we talk, I can think about a time or two when I was in the military, and a newbie would be what we would call them, or through some of my experiences in the Army where I was playing basketball or something, and I had to carry the bags, or I was asleep and somebody played a practical joke, as a form of initiating me to the team, where I may have been asleep. They put shaving cream on my face and start tickling my nose, and I slap my face to no avail. I have all this shaving cream all over my face and all on my hand, and it's those types of things that you look back 10 years that you say, wow, you're really upset at the time, but you look back and say, man, I made it through that. But I think today, as I said earlier,
but that's all in good fun, though.
Yeah, that is. And I guess what I'm saying to say that that's not beating the crap out of somebody. That's not, and that's why I say that today a lot of our kids, compared to back in the early '80s when I came through school and through the and like you said, you're young, some of the things you've gone through some tough bosses. Well, I've gone through some tough bosses. I've gone through certain things that wasn't really pleasant. And it really wasn't a form of initiation, but at the same time, there have been things that I've gone through that I felt like may not have been above board, for lack of a better word. In other words, probably could have gotten someone in trouble. It was really right there on the borderline of being, unethical or, just really bad practices. And when you look at fraternities, I've never been a part of one, but I've been on several teams, and it was just like it was my fraternity because it was my family. And when you look at fraternities, there's brothers and sisters in those fraternities, and they a lot of these people take this stuff very seriously. And so whoever goes through it, they may have to endure some very harmful activities, or potentially harmful activities that could cause, some very serious repercussions. So I just say that we don't know. Like I was saying, a lot of the kids today that are going through some of these things, the climate is different. There's people that are carrying guns. It's a different swagger. The things that are acceptable now with a lot of our young kids, our young adults, back then may not have been as acceptable. I know they wasn't as acceptable. You had certain situations that were isolated, but you never had someone being, killed or potentially killed. It was always, like you say, in fun that you could look back. That really wasn't a harmful situation. It was more, okay, I'm initiating this boy, and I'm going to make sure he knows that I'm going to be on him the whole time.
Because that's more what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the harmful stuff, the stuff that lands people in the hospital or in their graves.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. I get play, I get silliness, I understand all that. They do silly stuff like that in the Boy Scouts and all the time. So I get it. I've had a couple of my friends from whatever groups we were in back in the day when we were little tykes running around, do silly stuff like that. But I never ever had anybody assault me or abuse me physically. And I just, like I've said before, I just cannot see somebody doing that to me and me thinking it's okay, and me feeling like I can't do anything about it because, well, I'm an advocate for domestic violence awareness. So, I don't really mess around with things like that anyway. And so for me, that's just a little tough for me to swallow. But I do understand where you're coming from as far as the camaraderie, the feeling like there is a bond. We've all gone through this, so we all have something in common. We all have something we can connect with one another. We've all had something thrown at us. We've all been paddled. We've all been punched in the nose. So I get the camaraderie part. That's something that can connect, that can bond those individuals for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
So that piece I get. Although I don't agree necessarily with the methods of which they go about that bond, that forever connection, because sometimes people end up hurt and they end up dead, and unfortunately for the case of individuals like Robert Champion, he'll never even get a chance to be in that group that he so desired to be in because he's gone now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's that's a sad commentary, but it's the truth. And I mean, you just got to think, Ed, when you think about it, and I mean just the little things. And I've gone through a lot of different hazing type activities, but I won't say it, to that, like you say, to that degree. But
to that degree,
no, to that degree.
Are you serious?
I mean, I've been through some hazing types of events where people have done things, but like I said, it's been on that borderline. And like I said, the whole thing to me is the people that are part of these groups, maybe from a national standpoint. I mean, when it comes to screening these people, I mean, you think about it. You're on a college campus. You have X or XYZ group that is recruiting brothers, and you got some initiations, and the thing is who knows or who has screened these students or whatever group it may be, to say that these are kids that I would want to call my brother. These are people that, I mean, who's to say that we're not getting any and every riffraff to be a part of these groups? And they, we all want to be the big and the bad, the A personality type to say, I'm going to go a step further. And then before you know it, you're in over your head, and then you got a situation that, you can't get out of. There's repercussions to these actions that, sometimes I don't think anybody goes in saying, hey, look, just like the young man at FAMU to say, hey, look, I want to kill this guy.
Yeah, as the executives, Dr. Turner, Dr. Meehan, and Judge Monk, the university attorney, said earlier, no one goes in with those intentions.
No, they don't.
It's just it's kind of unexpected, and as Dr. Turner said, it shocks people when it does happen.
Oh yeah,
because that's not what the outcome was. Excuse me, that's not what they intended the outcome to be. And
this is my point. I think, in my opinion, there are several more situations, instances like this that never get reported.
Mm-hmm.
That never get reported. I mean, it's a brotherly love, and it's like, it's almost like somebody that gets raped. It's people that are pulling and tugging on these people and saying, hey, look, don't do it. You don't know what kind of, what you're opening yourself up to. And then there's another side of it where people are saying, hey, listen, if I go and tell, then all my brothers, I'm not going to get in. You see? So it's a lot of different things that are working at work here in someone's mind when they're going through, situations like that. And all I can do is just encourage you to come forth if you see that it's something that, from an ethical standpoint, and something that, that needs to be reported that could be harmful to yourself or someone else. I mean, you gotta report it and have someone take a look at that, because, like I said, who's to say that it won't be you? I mean, who's to say that, when all of these initiations and disciplinary things that you're being charged to do, I've even heard of situations where people have had to stand out on ledges, blindfold, or, taking licks for your brother. Is this your brother? Then you taking his licks. I mean, it's a lot of different things that go on from that standpoint that I think we all would be alarmed if we actually heard all of the real cases on it.
Well, Mr. Earl Warren, Director of University Development here at Jacksonville State University, I thank you so much for putting in your 2 cents. And one last question, though. What advice would you give to people in general? Because hazing happens a whole lot more than just that on the university level and college level.
Oh, yeah.
What advice would you give